Remember last week's podcast? If you do, it's going to be more of the same tonight because West Ham lost at home again. We're rubbish again. Graham Potter, apparently, according to lots of the fans, doesn't know what he's doing. Again, there was a big protest before. It's more misery and negativity surrounding West Ham United coming up on the We Are West Ham podcast. However, some interesting things to discuss, namely the future of Graham Potter and some potential developments on who may be replacing him this week. I'm Will Pugh. James Jones is dialing in from España. That is Spain, for anyone who's didn't go to school, or for anyone who did go to school where I did. Jonesy, wonderful to see you again, mate. Sort of quite the challenge to think of creative ways to start these podcasts every week, because West Ham serve up the same turgid nonsense on the field week in, week out, at a risk of saying the exact same stuff on the podcast all the time. I sort of try and say something different. I don't know whether I made much of a job of it then. But are you ready to talk about West Ham being useless for another 40 minutes or so?
No. Not today, mate. Luckily, I've count myself very lucky that I wasn't there on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was at the airport. I was at Stansted Airport. I was flying out to Spain. This is where I am now. I'm here for the next 2 weeks. And
commitment to the cause, by the way.
100%. And I was in one of the bars in Stansted, and where I was sitting, I could see within my eye line there was a lad with his little baby and his missus, and he was wearing a West Ham training shirt. And I had shorts on, so he saw my tattoo and I saw his shirt, and we kind of gave each other a nod. And it was a nod of, yeah, feel sorry for you, mate. Yeah, you too. And then we go 1-0 down, and I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to turn off all notifications. I'll turn my phone off. I'm sick of it. What's going on? I look up, and he's doing the exact same thing. And then we look at each other again, and we're just like shaking our heads from one side of the pub to the other. And then I walk into my gate, and Jared Bowen equalises, and I'm like, yes. And I'm shouting in the middle of I'm walking. I've had a few pints, so I'm like unusually vocal for a man on his own walking through an airport. Surprised I didn't attract any unwanted attention.
Not the greatest place to be showing signs of sort of psychosis or erratic behaviour.
Probably wasn't a good. Yeah, but I was like, yes, Jared Bowen, my man. And I'm just boarding, and then Tyreek Mitchell bangs in a goal, and it's just like, well, what did I expect? Why was I even happy that we scored? Because I knew what was going to happen. But I will not let it ruin my evening or my afternoon. So I'm just going to get on this plane, turn my phone onto airplane mode, and forget that this ever happened. Unfortunately, I have to remember because I'm sitting here now talking to you 2 days later.
Yeah. That is sort of one of the main drawbacks about doing this, isn't it? That normally, for most football fans, when something is pants, they, don't watch Match of the Day, forget the game ever happened, basically. However, we are forced to relive it every single Monday. And when we're going good, it's brilliant. I can't wait to do these things and chat about how good West Ham are. Not that obviously it's been a while since we were able to do that. But yeah. I mean, it's really, really rubbish, isn't it? I was there at London Stadium on Saturday. Just like to say a big thank you, by the way, while we're on, to Boyle Sports, who are our new shirt sponsor, who very kindly invited me along to the game with them. I was lucky enough to get down on the side of the pitch before the game, Jonesy. That was cool. We had something nice to eat. We watched the game from a very, very comfortable seat indeed. So I got a little hospo day out. I love a hospo day out. So yeah, thanks to Boyle Sports for that. Unfortunately, mate, to be honest, it was one of those where it's like I was glad of all the other stuff which I did enjoy, because it meant the game wasn't a total and utter washout. Now, the game was a total and utter washout, but it means the day wasn't a total and utter washout, is what I meant, because there were other elements that were enjoyable. But the football really, really was abject, in as much as, again, and I think this is sort of what we were talking about last week. I was quite passionate about it, and it'll be the same this week. That was our 7th goal from a corner we've conceded this season. It's sort of like it's a total waste of breath and energy, right? To talk about, oh, we looked pretty good, like on the ball, we looked like a bit more of a normal football team, etc., when there's one like glaringly obvious part of your game which is so abjectly bad that it's going to lose you games regularly, and as it has been this season. Like when you conceded so many goals, it's a bit like that analogy I think I've used quite a bit recently, where it's like if you've got a little dent in the side of your car and you've also got a puncture, you wouldn't get the dent fixed first, would you? You'd fix the puncture first, because that's the thing that's stopping you driving, which is the main huge glaring issue. And that's why I feel it's just a waste of time to talk about whether there might have been some slight improvements in our open play, because another corner again, we just look so weak all the time from those. So it's like, what's the point of talking about anything else? Because it doesn't matter how improved we are elsewhere on the pitch, because if we don't sort out this corners thing, or set pieces, or generally conceding goals from wide areas, if we don't sort that out, none of it matters, because we'll continue to lose game after game after game if you're effectively giving opponents a 1 to 2 goal head start. I don't know what the average amount of corners conceded for a team is in the Premier League. You'd want to say, don't know, maybe 5 or 7. Well, Crystal Palace had 8 on the weekend.
They also hit the bar from a corner as well. So like it could have been more.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I just, Sunderland, 3 goals, similar wide positions. It was good to see Areola back in the team. I thought that was a good decision, well made. But obviously it didn't help with the corner situation, in that it wasn't really the goalkeeper's fault. But obviously our defenders aren't very good. In this day and age, James, when set pieces are so vital to a football team, and Arsenal have got their own set piece coach. They're one step away from building a statue of the bloke outside the ground, I think. But like defending and attacking corners and set pieces in general are now so important in football, whether fans like to think of it or not. That the fact we're so rubbish at them, both attacking and defending, it's like it's such a vital part of football. Like, why are we not getting that right? Our team's massive as well. Max Kilman's about 9'6". Mavropanos is huge. I know Souček wasn't playing at the weekend, but he's not tiny. It's pathetic.
Well, like you said, it was good to see Areola back. And the good news with that is that we didn't concede 3 goals or more for the first time in about 8 years. We only managed to concede 2. So progress, mate. Come on, we're getting better. We're getting better. The whole corner thing is, I think that's now 54% of the goals, Premier League goals we've conceded this season, have come from corners. And we're 5 games in. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just pathetic. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. How do you fix it? I don't know. Like you said, we've got big defenders. Is it an organisational thing? Is it the fact that we're setting up zonal marking where we should be man marking? I don't know. It's all just a little bit baffling for me. It's like, because without that, actually, like, we could be in a very, very different position. We could be having a very, very different conversation, right?
I mean, yeah, only slightly. I mean,
only slightly, but it's you're looking at it
but
going, well, it's not even just the corners; it's the wide areas. It's even Palace's second goal came from a deep
crosses. Or just crosses, isn't it?
Just crosses, and like the fact that you're 5 games in and it's still a problem. you wonder what they're seeing or what they're doing behind the scenes. Are they sitting there going, "Well, hang on, we probably need to nip this in the bud now. Probably need to sort this out." And then the next game, it happens again twice. And I don't know. And like, as much as I wanted Graham Potter to work, because I really felt like, the evidence of what he did at Brighton suggested that he could bring to West Ham what the fans wanted, right, in terms of style of play. Right, that was the evidence. So, okay, well, he has got it in his locker. I don't know if you're not prepared or willing or even capable of fixing something which is one of the basics of football, right? Defend your set pieces. Yes, you're going to concede the odd one here and there.
Yeah.
But 54% of your goals conceded in 5 games, you can't you can't continue. Like if you're not going to fix it or you're incapable of fixing it, you can't continue, mate. I'm sorry, but I don't see any other way around it.
No. Definitely not, James. This is the We Are West Ham podcast. I'm Will Pugh. That's James Jones. If coming up on the rest of the show, basically there'll be loads more moaning about the Crystal Palace game. We'll talk about the protest and we'll talk about the manager's situation, whether we should sack him. And I'll give you a little update on a few whispers I'm hearing around that situation and whether or not that day where Graham Potter's no longer our manager might be sooner than we think and who's in line to replace him. That's all coming up. Thank you very much to the new Patreons this week. If you signed up at patreon.com/wearewestham podcast for less than £4 a month to get all these podcasts a day before everyone else and to have them without adverts, then thank you. Hello and welcome. If you haven't done it yet, why not? Do feel free to come over and join us. I must admit, I have been a little, what's it called? I've been somewhat quiet on the Patreon community group chat since the Crystal Palace game. I've been on a golf weekend since Sunday and Monday. But yeah, I haven't. I just couldn't bring myself to talk about it until I had to for the podcast. But there is a We Are West Ham podcast Patreon community group chat, which everyone gets stuck into as well. So yeah, if you fancy it, patreon.com/We Are West Ham podcast. If not, make sure you follow us on socials at least. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, number one. We Are West Ham podcast on YouTube, and you will find that in no time whatsoever. Number two, get us on Instagram, We Are West Ham Pod, or Twitter at We Are_West Ham. We stopped Facebook. I can't remember why. I feel like it was a lot of aggro, and annoyingly, it's now like quite a popular platform. We should perhaps start up again, but we haven't. So don't search for us on Facebook. Do all those things. You know what's coming up on the pod. So yeah, carry on listening if you want, but it is going to be lots of moaning and negativity. But lots of you like that. And you like to feel like, because we're all in it together after all, we're all suffering here because West Ham are rubbish, albeit still massive. Anyway, all of that coming up. We wouldn't be conceding most of these goals with Craig Dawson at the back. How come none of our centre-backs can head the ball? Makes the loss of Souček even worse. That's from Morris Cohen, one of our Patreons. Ben Orr on Patreon says, Potter said they've spent all week working on corners and set pieces. I don't think we've changed how we deal with corners from the Sunderland game. 3 players standing on their own in front of the crowd, hoping it doesn't beat them. It's clearly not working, so why not change the approach? Will won't like this, but Somerville is Ben Rama without the stepovers. No, Ben, I do not like that. Michael Wood, Potter has to go. What else have we got on here? JDD, really have to think that it's not if, but when, and that the wheels are in motion. I might not feel good about it. But if it didn't look like, I wouldn't feel good about it if it didn't look like Nuno. They need to back him fully. Jim Odie thought we were dire against Palace. And that Palace, although better, were also poor, but we still lost. I thought we played better for the first 25 against Spurs. Not sure what that new Frenchman has done. but I would have started with him. The midfielder, I guess. I mean, seriously, James. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's the reaction from fellow We Are West Ham podcast listeners. Let's do the game first, right? And we'll talk about the Potter stuff afterwards and where we go from here. It was so... Palace were not very good, ultimately. They weren't very good. They, yet again, and this is the most frustrating thing, West Ham United are exceedingly easy to beat. Teams do not have to try very hard to beat us. And what is more annoying than that? What is more annoying than being just rolled over? Like, football's not just played when you have the ball, it's played without the ball as well. And we're just like pathetic. And we make it so easy for opposition teams. And I almost don't understand how it can be so bad. Do you know what I mean? These are like professional footballers. We've got a reasonable squad. I'm kind of just baffled, really, mate.
Yeah, the fact that we're too easy to beat is as a result of the whole set piece thing, isn't it? You know, like you can see so many goals from set pieces. As long as you're in open play, you're pretty resolute defensively. Then just nick a corner or a free kick in a wide area, and you got a goal. You got a goal against us, haven't you? So I think essentially that's what Palace did at the weekend. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I've seen extended highlights, and the majority of the highlights were Palace taking corners or taking free kicks.
Yeah.
And if that's the level that we're at, then we're screwed. That's like, and the only, I know we're going to get onto it, but the only way is the fact that we've been spending an entire week working on that, fixing that, and then in the first half of the first game, after you've spent a week working on that, you concede from the very thing that you were trying to prevent. Suggests that the level of work in that week of trying to prevent that wasn't good enough at this level.
That much is clear, isn't it? Yeah.
At this level of the game, it shouldn't take an entire week to try and stop that from happening as often as it is happening.
Yeah.
Right? What we're saying is we're not asking for us to never concede a goal from a corner or a cross ever again. No. We would just prefer to go a couple of games without doing it, please. Because
just one.
Just like the fact that like you just know that the moment the team gets a corner, it's like, well, we're probably going to go 1-0 down here, or probably going to go 3-0 down here. So yeah, it's a major concern, and you alluded to it a minute ago, is that we've got the squad. It's a decent squad. There's a lot of really good players in that squad, but they've been made to look rubbish for some reason. I've seen a lot of people dig Kilman out, and I think Kilman's a good centre back.
I think he's fine. Yeah,
like he's not world class. He's not one of the best centre backs in the Premier League. We know that. Yes, we probably potentially did overpay for him a little bit.
40 million quid, I'd say so. Yeah,
but he's a decent centre half. And he's been made to look rubbish. There's a lot of players in that team that are underperforming now, whether that's because of the tactics, whether that's because they're just out of confidence, whether that's because they just don't believe in a manager, but like, it remains to be seen, right? But we should not be where we are right now with that squad. Like, it's unbelievable. And there'll be a lot of neutrals going, what on earth's going on over there? Like, and you've got a squad that includes Paquetá, Bowen, like Matheus Fernandes, a good midfielder, has been a really good addition. Juve, unbelievable signing. Like in terms of potential, like he's been brilliant. 3 assists already this season. Like,
but let's not forget how many goals we've conceded, and he's a defender. But
yes. But in terms of what we know he can offer the team, like if we were winning and he'd got 3 assists, everyone would be like, "God, what a signing! Unbelievable!"
Well, yeah,
20 million quid, unbelievable. So like, I think he will prove to be a very, very shrewd bit of business. I think I'd be very surprised if we keep hold of him for very long. There's a squad there. There's a really good team. Somerville, you love him. I love him. I think he's brilliant. Right? And I even think Walker Peters has been a pretty good one on a free. Like, he's not ripping trees up, but he's solid.
But that is what, just quickly, that is where, like, both of those players, we're moaning about conceding goals from wide areas. Like, that is where a lot of the crosses come from.
No,
but
I agree.
It's not really them as much, is it? Because it's more like you're naturally going to let one or two crosses past you in a game. It's the blokes in the middle.
It's the centre backs that need to be clearing it, and when it's a corner, that's not the fullback's problem. If the goal is conceded from a corner, right?
No.
And even the second goal had nothing to do with either of the fullbacks.
No. Right.
So, yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss at the moment, mate, because after the Forest game, I really felt like we made that was the turning point. Yes, but we've got a result here. Springboard, and I know it's a bit cliche, but because that was the result that went into the international break. Maybe the international break came at the wrong time for us. We kind of, when you win, you want to go again, didn't you? You want to play again, keep that momentum going. I don't know, but that's what I felt like at the time. But now I'm looking at it going, I don't think it matters whether the international break was there or not, because fundamentally, the problems are very, very clearly still there. And they're problems that will get the club relegated if something isn't done about it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I just felt at Forest, and again, I just felt at Forest it's paper and cracks. You know,
potentially.
You'd like sort of obviously like took the mickey out of me a bit, as we do on the podcast. So obviously no worries on that front. But it was very much, come on, mate, we've won 3-0 away. Just have a week off of being miserable, will ya? And it's like, yeah, all right, it's funny, yeah, fine. But it's kind of like, oh, yeah, we've managed to sort of get a win there. It certainly wasn't a 3-0 game. They just collapsed. We scored one good goal, defended very resolutely for a long period of the game. Scored a good goal, they collapsed. That's effectively what happened there. So it's not what I think you can just tell, right? When a team is doing football's quite a robotic sort of sport, right? Ultimately, you know, when the way teams attack, it's all very similar. We'll get onto this in a minute. The fact that Jared Bowen scored, our goal was a Jared Bowen header. That is not going to happen very often. That is not a sustainable way of scoring. And that's obviously the defence and the set pieces are the major issue. But the fact we don't look like scoring really from open play isn't great either. And I find on that front, I just find like football's quite robotic, right? So, for example, Arsenal last season in particular, and even Manchester City, they kind of set tactics and they attack in ways of playing, and they do it time and time again, right? That's why in the Premier League so often these days that centre backs have so much of the ball, is because every time an attack doesn't work out in the way that the managers are trying to get their team to attack, teams tend to reset. Yeah, if even if they don't lose the ball, Arsenal would get the ball out wide to Bukayo Saka, and like something like 40%, 50% of their attacks come down that right hand side. They try and get the ball out to Saka. He'll cut in or take it to the byline and then cut it back. There'll be someone or around the edge of the box or see it up to the back post, whatever. Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou, get the ball out wide. They'd have the fullbacks making those underlapping runs. The ball would get whipped across, and it felt to me like it was always Brennan Johnson at the back post, like tucking it in from 6 yards out, whatever. West Ham, and you know, and the other side of that, obviously, whether you liked it or not, but like under Moyes, we were counter-attacking. That was our style, right? We'd let the other team have the ball, and then we'd win it back off of them in our own half, defend resolutely, and counter-attack at pace. That was sort of what we tried to do, right? And obviously, we were good at set pieces then, both defending and attacking them. You should be able to see for a good team. You'll be able to see it with Liverpool, you know, even Chelsea. Like with good teams, you should be able to detect patterns in their play, particularly in attacking play. You should be able to see that they're trying a similar sort of thing time and time again because they've worked on something. We get the ball, and I'm like, no idea what's happening here. No idea where we're going. No idea who we're going to try and pass it to. It just seems so random, the whole thing. And I just think that's such a huge concern. It just doesn't. You should be able to tell what a team is at least trying to do. And it's just like Potter goes, kind of what he did after Lopetegui. It's like, well, I'll just put 11 players out on the pitch in their positions and see what happens. Kind of like you do for a Sunday league game, right? You're like, right, where do you like playing? No, right back normally. Right, you play right back. That's a Sunday league manager, isn't it? You pick 11 players in positions they sort of play in, and then you just go, right, have a good game. And that's it. And you sub someone when they get tired. That's the Sunday league manager. And then that's what it just seems like with us. We put 11 players on in positions that they're typically known for playing in, and then go, right, you crack on and see how you get on, work it out while you're out there.
Yeah. I think you're right in terms of the patterns and the fact that it's just like when you've got players like Bowen, Paqueta, Somerville on the pitch, if you're approaching a game without any kind of attacking strategy or purpose, with that type of quality on the football pitch, I don't know. Like, none of it makes sense to me. Like,
what about Callum Wilson starting up front?
Well,
I thought he was fine. What did you make of that decision?
Well, I think it was better than not having him on a pitch in my mind.
With Fulkrug on the bench,
we approached the Tottenham game without either of them on the pitch, and look how that ended. I really felt with the goal that he scored against Forest, I was like, hang on, we might have this might be actually quite a good signing for us. He's not going to go and score 15, 20 goals, but he could be a pretty useful addition to the team. But he's not a player that we should be starting week in, week out. He spent the last 5 years injured regularly. And we have to expect that's probably going to be a similar thing at some stages of this season. Whether it's a Fulkrug or Wilson, I think at the moment it doesn't really matter. We're not creating anything, mate. Like what does it matter who's in the middle? I think Fulkrug probably has impressed in stages. Has looked, there were stages last year when he did play, we looked a far better team going forward.
Yeah, we just don't serve him in the right way,
we don't serve him in the right way, exactly. No. And I think probably a little bit unfair that he seems to have lost his place in the team.
I'm inclined to agree, really,
because he hasn't scored, and Wilson comes off the bench against Forest, scores, and suddenly it's like, maybe Wilson's the better striker out of the two. When actually it's kind of, they're both probably very, very similar in terms of what they add to the team in terms of quality.
But don't you? Yeah, go on. Yeah.
So Wilson's now gone a couple of games without scoring. What is he going to go back and play Fulkrug again? What happens if Fulkrug doesn't score for a couple of games? And it's like, again, we've done this to ourselves by not actually going out and buying a striker that fits the system and is young enough and is fit enough to be able to serve us in the right way. Yep. We've allowed ourselves to go, and like the whole. I can say this is the same thing about the midfield as well. Like, midfield was the priority, and they left that until two games into the season, 4 days before the end of the window. We're going by two midfielders in one day, both of which still haven't played together on the pitch.
They may have been
on the pitch at the same time against Tottenham, but Magassa came on the pitch against Palace, but Fernandes went off.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So it's like, well, hang on, you bought these 2 midfielders because we needed an entire new midfield, and you still aren't playing them.
To be fair, Magassa, when he come on, looked well off it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
well off
talking
it.
about. But
yeah, and again, it feels like it's one of those things. Same with Isak not starting straight away at Liverpool, right? It's like you do have to be at the level. It's like you can't. There's no point throwing players in if they're not ready. And he looked miles off it.
Yeah, but like regardless of that, like from the striker situation point of view, like it was so obvious. The moment you go in, okay, well, we're not going to renew Antonio's contract. We'll get Callum Wilson in on a free because he's a freebie, and we'll get him on a little sort of a performance-based contract, like incentive
which
based.
again,
It's like,
fine.
okay, fine. That's okay, but you still need to go out and get someone who's younger, hungrier, more prolific, fitter, and is able to play into the system that we want to play. A player that we know is going to be able to be served the way that our system, whatever that system is. And instead, they just ignored it and went, no, we'll just like let half of our defence go on a free and then just buy a whole new defence. But like, we just didn't need to do that.
No,
We could have offered Soufal another deal. We probably could have made Emerson a little bit happier.
Yeah,
and we could. There's 2 signings there that you don't have to worry about. And maybe we'll go and spend that money on. I'm happy with the Juve signing, so that's fine. But go out and get the striker. Like, what are you doing? And now we're going. Oh, well, so what? Fulkrug starts against Everton on Monday night. He doesn't score. So what is then? What was Callum Wilson start against Arsenal the following weekend? What are we going to do here?
Isn't it? Yeah, you're spot on, mate. It shows you. It's just really reactive, right? It feels a bit like the David Sullivan version of management, like as in lurching from one style to another. It's like I get form plays into it a little bit, but
it's the sort of thing I would do on Football Manager. I would do that on Football Manager. If I had 2 strikers that I really liked and I wanted to play both, but I only played with 1 striker, I'd literally say to myself, okay, if one of them goes 1 game without scoring, he's out, and I'm putting another one in. And then I'll just rotate them. I'll rotate them, and then I end up getting sacked.
Is fine on a video game.
I'll end up getting sacked because like, none of my strikers are scoring goals because they're not in the team. They're not getting the run of games that they need.
But it just shows you that Potter really hasn't got that it seems to suggest that he doesn't fancy either of them, really, doesn't it? Because, or he seems to think that neither of them fit in the way he wants to play, because it's like, you like Callum Wilson having 1 good game against Forest, and Fulkrug had a stinker at Forest, to be fair. He was rubbish. And I suppose there's an element of you got to reward good performances and stuff. But also, it's like, I feel like 1 game from Wilson there shouldn't, if Fulkrug's your go-to guy and he's the one you want in your system and he's best suited to it, Fulkrug should get back in, really, shouldn't he? He goes, right, look, you've had a slap wrist there. You were pants first half against Forest. Callum's come on and scored. He's breathing down your neck. Not much like you, no more performances like that, but you're my man, so you're starting again. Go and put like, it's just so lurchy. I really don't know. And again, Callum Wilson, couple of big opportunities. He's so slow, and I know perhaps that's not his game, but there was a moment in the second half, or 2 moments. There was one when he broke down the left-hand side, right in front of where you sit, and he had a clear start on and it was a centre back chasing him, and it was just like, when you can like see it how slow someone is, and you just knew 1,000,000,100% he was going to cut back in because the defender, the centre back, had caught up with him, and he didn't have loads of touches for the ball, so it's not one of them when you're running a bit slower than the defender running at full pedal, and you were just like, oh, he's going to cut back in, and the momentum of this quick counter attack is going to be lost. And that's exactly what happened. And then the one in the second half, which you might have seen, where he's played through, he's in the box, you think, dig, he cuts back in, and he cuts back in straight. He does the bloke who was marking him, but he cuts back in straight into a centre-back who just tackles him. Like, it would have been our first shot for about a zillion hours. He's not the answer. Like you say, Paqueta, fine. Somerville, all right. I can see why Ben was a bit frustrated earlier on, but I just don't get it. I don't get what's happening. I don't get what the plan is. And Potter afterwards, he's so sort of, he's just so lackluster in his comments. I just don't think I can't see it continuing. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Is there anything else particularly about the Crystal Palace game? I think bringing Areola back, good. Yeah, we've covered the width already. Agassi looked miles off it. Callum Wilson, it's just so the same as the Mikel Antonio situation, where it was just like, why is this man starting for us still? But I love him as I do, right? And I don't ever think that for a second Mikel Antonio put less than 100% effort in every single time he wore a West Ham shirt. But, you know, I could put in 100% effort for West Ham. I still wouldn't be good enough to play up front for West Ham. And that's what Mikel Antonio had got. And then Danny Ings, he was obviously woeful. And you're just seeing it's just the same. It's just the same energy with Wilson. It was like he was fine. Like he was fine. He should have shot at the end. Bad decision there. He's too slow. It's just one of those things where it's just like, even if he tries his best for West Ham for the whole time he's there, it will be. He just won't. He's not going to rip up any trees. He's not going to do anything. I don't know. None of it makes sense, James. I don't think. And Potter, when he's all his interviews afterwards, he doesn't fill you with any confidence. He never makes you feel like he knows what he's doing, does he? No. It feels now like he's waiting for the axe to fall. But look, again, we'll do that next. Anything else on the Palace game, mate?
No.
Stay with us. More on Potter and the protest next. We'll do the protest first, James. A few thousand people gathered outside the director's entrance at West Ham before the game on Saturday. There was sort of two separate protests that had been arranged. And yeah, look, it was probably not as powerful and widely covered as the march around the time of the Burnley game, when well in excess of 10,000 West Ham fans sort of marched through the streets of Stratford on the way to London Stadium. I think first of all, I want to reinforce this because I went on the radio on Sunday morning on Talk Sport with Sean Custis and Henry Winter on the Sunday edition, and spoke about the game and the protests and all that. And I got a bit of grief on Twitter afterwards, sort of as if I was like, not agreeing with the protesters. Let me make this abundantly clear. Power to anyone, any West Ham United fan who wants to take to the streets and protest at stuff that they think is not good for the club that we all love dearly. So I'm fully behind and fully support anyone who wants to or feels that they want to do something about it in the form of protest. Generally, I'm a major fan of protest and the everyone's right to protest in society. I certainly feel it's the same for West Ham fans as well. And my previous comments on the podcast around, I fear that the owners won't care enough, or it won't. I fear that it may not have any impact, in as much as if the ultimate goal, which I think it is to get rid of David Sullivan as owner. My feeling is that I don't think, when weighed against billions of pounds or hundreds of millions of pounds, as is David Sullivan's stake in West Ham, I just feel that I don't think it will make a difference in terms of him selling the club. But by all means, to bring attention, because again, talking about it on national radio, TV channels, mainstream news organisations are covering it. If you want to do those sort of things and bring attention to the wider football world, all power to anyone who feels that they want to stand up for the club they love and make their voices heard and protest against it. So just get that out there first of all. What did you make of excuse me, James? Assuming you've seen the images, read some stuff about it. What did you make of the protest and the whole thing? First of all,
I echo everything you just said. I think the fans have every right to protest,
of course I do.
and as particularly in this situation where I think the fans are well within their rights to ask questions about of the board and the direction in which the club's going in. Only a little over 2 years since we won a European trophy.
Yeah.
And now we are where we are, and you've got 100%. We should be asking questions. So I was really pleased to see the scenes. Obviously, it wasn't as big a turnout as I think some of the fan groups that organised it was hoping for, but 3,000 people, still 3,000 people. So it's great, and obviously I think that the next time game against Brentford, I think there are plans for a much larger.
Well, there's a planned boycott, isn't there? There's a
planned boycott, but
United, I think, are suggesting.
Yeah, it's a planned boycott, and I think probably that would also be a protest. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
You'd be mistaken for thinking there was a boycott on Saturday, by the way, because there was. I was sat on the.
Well,
other side
I've seen some pictures. Yeah,
empty seats in the Billy Bond stand.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of it, and yeah, I don't know. I feel very similar to you in that fans have every right to protest, but at the same time, there is that feeling. It's just like, does David Sullivan care enough? Is it actually going to make a difference? I
think he cares, but I don't think when weighed against
and
a stake in a club, in a company that's worth hundreds of millions of pounds to him. Unfortunately, I just think the reality of it is if he has to choose between losing, doing a quick sale because the fans are protesting and losing tens and tens of millions of pounds, or sticking until a right offer comes and just ride the wave of the protest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's going to pick the latter. Like, that's just the way of the world.
And that's what he's been doing from day dot. Like, he's been riding the wave of the protest. This isn't the first time we protested.
No.
And it won't be the last. And, until he's gone, he's probably thinking, well, I've been here before. I've survived the last 2 or 3 or whatever it was. I'll keep going. The only thing I do disagree with, I have to say this because I've seen a lot of it on Twitter today, is Mrs. Can't remember her name, has had a bit of a social media back and forth with a couple of West Ham fans on Instagram and on Twitter, I think. She's bit. Right.
Yeah, is that? I'm assuming all those things are legit. I've seen those as well.
Yeah, she has. I looked at her account, and she's had a pup. She's gone. I think she's tweeted like just an innocent picture of herself, like she's going on holiday or something. I think someone's gone, "Oh, tell your boyfriend we don't like him" or something like that, and then she's had a bite. She shouldn't have bit because like in her position,
mate, it's one of those.
You know
right.
what's going to right. But
it's a weird look, isn't it, to be I know what you mean. I've every right, by the way, every right to do it, and you'd probably stick up for your family or your partner, 100%, or whatever it would be. But you'd sort of think, don't really.
Yeah, just ignore it. Yeah. But I've been in so many situations. Everyone knows I've been in situations on social media where I should have ignored it, and I've ended up biting. So
James, I'll read it out for you. I've just found it. Ampika Pixton. It was West Ham Central who replied to the picture saying, "Tell your boyfriend we hate him." And then Ampika replied, "Once you've been in football as an owner for 3 decades, invested your security on staying up through relegation, please come and share your thoughts, as they would be valued and significant. To be nasty and personal, including your negative attitude towards me based on tabloid nonsense. Do me a favour, live a life in someone's shoes and then comment. Hiding behind West Ham's club doesn't wash with me. Who the F are you?" Yeah, that was the one you're talking about. There were a couple of others which I can't.
But I think the point I want to make here is that whether she should have bit or not is irrelevant. The fact is that she has nothing to do with the running of our football club. Right, we should not be lowering ourselves to going after David Sullivan's missus, family members, or anything like that. they're not. She's not the one running a football club. She's not the one making the decisions. And I think it does. It's not a good look when you've got people having a pop at her. I've seen off the back of her saying that to the original comment to her, "Tell your boyfriend we hate him" or something. Okay, it's not terrible, but probably like it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of like Twitter.
But the replies to her bite. Well, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your energy having a pop at David Sullivan's missus? She's got nothing to do with it. Yeah, okay, she's had a bite, but she's got nothing to do with it. Like, the energy should be put into having a go at David Sullivan and trying to make sure that he does the right thing and sells up, right? Fans have spent the last 24 hours having a go at his missus. And I'm just, in my head, I'm just like, no, like, she's got nothing to do with this. It's not fair on her. Whether you like her, she's been in the tabloids before for various different reasons. Whether you like her or not, it's. I just don't agree with it. I think a lot of fans having a pop at her is just it's taking away the focus and the attention on what the actual issue is. We all know what the issue is, so we need to channel out.
What do you mean?
But the issue is the board. The issue is David Sullivan. The issue is we need to try and find a way of getting them out of the club, or at least starting to do the right thing for the football club. And having a go at his missus doesn't do that, right?
No,
she's got nothing to do with it.
I do think, to be fair, mate, right? You go into the replies and it's like fine, but it's just Twitter for you, right? It's like
it's still not like when it's hundreds and thousands of fans piling in. You know, you've got people creating memes about her and stuff like that. Yes, it's social media. Yes, it's Twitter. But every time I went on Twitter today,
227 replies to that tweet.
But then there's all the other ones where people have created pictures of her. I saw someone, they photoshopped Graham Potter's face to it on her body, and it's just like, this is weird. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just odd. And I just, in my head, I'm like, you're channeling your energy towards the wrong person. And I know social media can't be a reflection of the entire fan base.
Yeah,
but I feel like because of the power of social media in the modern era, in this day and age, like, we want people to realise and understand the reasons why we're protesting and why we've got a problem with the board at the football club. Having a pop at his missus doesn't get that message across, right? And
I'm not condoning it. I just sort of feel like maybe the focus is potentially on the wrong thing. It's more of a little side hustle, that, right? I think she shouldn't be nibbling at West Ham.
maybe it's just it's all I've seen today, and in my head I'm like, no, what I want to see is more of what I saw on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see the attention towards the people that actually are making the decisions at the football club. But when I'm going on social media for several times today, and all I'm seeing is her face pop up and people having a pop at her and calling her all names under the sun, and it's like, hang on, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, oh God, no, I'm with you. And again, I'm not sort of endorsing or condoning that at all. It's more just I'm sort of like, it's just childish and stupid. Like, it's one of those things. It feels a bit like complaining about rain being wet, like people being stupid on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. That I don't want this. You think I'm endorsing that sort of thing at all? It's more just like, well, that stuff happens, and in that vein, I kind of understand. I'm kind of weirdly respect her wanting to defend her partner, because who wouldn't do that, right? I sort of respect that, but at the same time, I'm like, you don't do it on Twitter, like, as in.
Well, she did it on Instagram as well.
Don't do it on social media. It's like I kind of respect that bit, but that's not necessary there. What I think is interesting what you say there. By the way, sorry, I said I agree to something you were saying, and then you carried on talking. But the thing I agree with, and I think this is what I was chatting about this on the radio on Sunday as well, which I think is maybe why sort of people misconstrued what I was saying. And when we talk about protest, right, and I want to clarify this, is that I don't think if the ultimate goal is to get David Sullivan to leave West Ham, that there's much chance, as in earlier than he otherwise would have or would want to. I don't think there's much chance of that through protest. What I do think, and what you've just picked up on there, which is another reason, as well as just it's your right, exercise it, which is another reason I think there's more chance of it having an impact and an effect, is that it makes David Sullivan and that it makes him do something different and try to be better at being an owner. And obviously we saw the statement from the club a while ago, or within the last week or so, kind of alluding to what was going on and the feelings at the moment, which you don't often see. But like hiring a director of football again after the Tim Steidten thing went wrong, it's just like, we won't do that anymore then. It's like, no. Having a director, just because it's gone wrong once, that doesn't mean having a director of football's bad. It's like, that's like, if it feels a bit like with Sullivan, what he's doing, it's like, it feels a bit like probably something Barry Fry would have done in the 90s, where he'd like sack the manager and he'd take charge of the team for the next game. And it's just like, now that would be completely childish and amateur.
Just like trial and error, isn't it?
Exactly. If he sacks Graham Potter, right, you wouldn't be like, well, don't need a manager anymore. We went rubbish with the last one, so we won't have one. I'll just pick the team, like Sullivan saying that. And it's like, it's sort of like that with a director of football. Now I feel like a director of football, like that's the job Sullivan's been doing. He's clearly not very good at it, right? But objectively, certainly that's the opinion of most of the fans, and objectively not great at it on the whole. Had some successes by all means, but objectively over a long period of time. And we've had, like, the data set is good now. There's enough times past where you can kind of tell objectively not particularly good at it. So hire someone who is. People would care way less about David Sullivan being owner of the football club if he was just putting the money up and hired a professional and was, lacked ego enough to go, you know what, maybe I don't think I'm the best man to do this. I'll put the money up, but I'm going to hire someone and put someone in that position. Like most other clubs in the Premier League, let's have it right. Like every other top flight club, well, not every other, but the vast majority of top flight clubs who have people in that position. It's not unique or quirky or brave to have a director of football. It went wrong with one bloke who everyone, by the way, absolutely mythologized and idolized, by the way, while he was here. Don't hear from them people anymore about bring back Tim Steidten. But I think the loving for him was probably because he represented, oh my God, a little bit of a shift of power from David Sullivan. And now we've just lurched back. Hire another one. If it didn't go right with him, hire another one. Go and get another director of football who's better than Tim Steidten. Like, that's what happens at other clubs. If directors of football go, they get another one in. They don't just go, we won't have one of them anymore. Infuriated.
I completely agree. And if you look at any other club in England that has problems with the owners, right? Those problems are born out of the fact the owners wanted too much control over footballing matters. Right? You don't have, no one's having a pop at an owner of a football club who has the professionals running it for them, and they're literally just signing the checks, going, "Oh, yeah, you need that, yeah, right, you can pay that, you pay that." No one's having a pop at them. They're having a pop at the footballing people. No one's having a pop at the owners. They're having a pop at the director of football or the manager or the CEO or something like that, right?
Yeah. Having loads of money doesn't make you good at running a football club, does it?
No. So that he literally, and how he has not been able to identify that flaw in his own character and his own, right, is baffling, because he should be sitting there going, are they protesting again? I wonder why that might be. Oh, they want me to sell the football club again. I wonder why that might be. Perhaps I should employ a team of businessmen who have run football clubs before.
Industry professionals, yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. And go, right, okay, you're the CEO. You're the director of football. You're the technical director. Like whatever the top job titles are, you run a football club. Just tell me how much money you need, and if it's within budget, I'll sign a check.
Yeah,
I want nothing to do with the day to day.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah, because I'm not.
Suddenly,
If he loved I love this football club and want it to do well, and I love it so much, I'm able to realise that I'm not the best man to do this job.
And if he does that,
because I love it so much, I want someone else who's better at it than me to do it.
And if he's so hell bent on not selling the football club because he wants to pass it down to his kids, and the inheritance and the amount of money that's involved in it, I don't blame him for not wanting to sell. The amount of money that's involved in that football club, like the value of it now to what it was when he bought it is like so. Understandably, he doesn't want to sell. And if he does want to sell,
between 800 million to $1 billion,
exactly, and he's the majority shareholder, so I get it.
Yeah,
but he would be leading a far happier and more comfortable life if he just took a step back and then put the proper people in charge of the football club. Who those people are, we don't know. There's plenty of people out there that they could go and nab from other football clubs, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that's all the fans would be happy to do. Just knowing that he's no longer making the day-to-day decisions. Him and his agent mates aren't meddling in the transfer window.
Oh, what? Sorry?
They're not. He likes to sign players from his favourite agents and stuff like that. Like that's not happening anymore. We've got proper people, proper football professionals running the football club the way that a football club should be run. They're the ones that get the chop. They're the ones that get the ag from the fans if things aren't working. Yeah. And he can sit up there in his tower, counting his money and go, well, I signed the checks, but I didn't make any decisions. And the fans wouldn't be blaming him if that was the case.
Yeah. No,
that's what he needs to do, and I think that's the only thing that needs to happen now. Like we've established, he's probably not going to sell, and we don't blame him for not wanting to sell. Yeah. That's the move.
Run it. Hire someone else to run it.
That's the move he's got to run. It can't just be let's just bring in a director of football again. It has to be a whole new team.
Yeah, totally. And to clarify, James, that's why I was saying. That's why I'm like fair play for protesting. And I think there's more of a chance, not that particular scenario we've just discussed, but I do think protest does that. I think it forces the club into action. Like I said, I don't think necessarily he's going to sell the club sooner than he otherwise would because of protests, but I do think it can spark him into action and make him think about it more and do something, etc., etc. Right. We'll have one last little break, James, and we'll have a chat about Graham Potter, and I might have a little tidbit of information for you. Right, James, we seem to have a knack of doing this. I go into all these podcasts because we've been so naff this season, going, right, let's get this out of the way. We'll do 40 minutes, and because I can't bear to talk about it. And then we get into it. And it seems like there's so much.
It's because we care. We care, so we talk.
Yeah, true. But it feels like it's been like this for so long where the results of the games and the games we play are kind of, they're small fry almost. It's almost there's always a macro, bigger picture to talk about all the time. And even this week, it's like, all right, yeah, we lost at home to Crystal Palace. We were rubbish. We were crap at defending set pieces. Our squad's not great. Right, okay, right, tick. Anyway, now on to the bigger stuff and the stuff that, is actually going on and blah, blah, blah. There must be some clubs, right? I imagine, supporting Liverpool, for example, or Man City, and having a podcast, they must just log on every week and talk about the games. Because they're like, yeah, we've got decent owners and the people running the club know what they're doing. And we've got a good manager. So, and then just go, right, okay, let's talk about the decisions, the tactics, the players, the subs. And that's it. Because they haven't got all this total chaos surrounding their club. They haven't got protests to talk about. They play in nice stadiums where atmospheres are good. And so you just log on and talk about the game of football. Probably a bit miserable if you lost. You talk about why you lost. Probably cheerful if you win, and you pat yourselves on the back about that. You don't go, oh, God, isn't the stadium crap and the atmosphere is rubbish? When are we going to get rid of the owners? Wow, just none of that. Must be absolutely lovely. On that note, James, Graham Potter, Nuno Espirito Santo is being rumoured as the man to replace him. I saw a picture, and I'm still not sure of its legitimacy. I saw a picture earlier this week that suggested Nuno had met up with David Sullivan at his house. I'm still not certain how true or legitimate or otherwise those pictures and claims were. Do you know?
I don't know. Apparently, it was pictured in Thaden, which is where Sullivan lives, or near where Sullivan lives. And I do know that he holds meetings with staff of the football club and potential new managers when he's interviewing at his house. I know that for a fact. So it wouldn't be a surprise if there was a meeting that it was held at his house.
Yeah. Okay. What the situation with Potter? Straight after the game, Sammy Mockbell from the BBC said West Ham are considering Graham Potter's position. It's like, well, yeah, as they should be. Like, yes, we are rubbish. We're in the relegation zone. He's been there since, for the best part of 9-10 months now, or 9 months. Yeah, and we're rubbish. So they should be considering his position. I was informed earlier today by a source that I trust reasonably well. I trust that apparently the latest is that Potter's done and that Nuno Espirito Santo will be signing by the end of this week, providing West Ham providing a financial arrangement that he has with Forest, which I'm led to believe is similar to the one Graham Potter had after he left Chelsea, in that he gets a certain amount of his old salary paid for the period of time he's not in work. And a lot of those agreements, severance agreements and stuff, relate to we will pay you X if you don't take another Premier League job. And I'm led to believe that as soon as West Ham, or not necessarily West Ham, a bit unclear on this part at the moment, as soon as a resolution, if one, not necessarily as soon as, so I don't think it's a guarantee, if a resolution can be found that all parties, namely Nuno and Forest, are happy with regarding the finances around an agreement that's there, that West Ham will appoint him as manager, is what I'm told today. So what do you think if that turns out to be the case?
Well, I think I alluded to it last week on last week's podcast. I think for me, he's the obvious candidate. See, Mourinho's just taken the Benfica job, so that's a no-go. For me, out of all the managers that are available, I mean, we know Sullivan likes a freebie. He's a standout. He's miles ahead of everyone else. I keep seeing Slaven Bilic's name pop up, and I'm going, "Oh my god, what we like? Why is he even being considered?" Gary O'Neill's name's popped up. It's like there's probably a reason why he's not got another job straight away after what he did at Wolves.
Weirdly, though, mate, I think the situation, kind of as you see Wolves play out now, I remember interviewing him when he was at Wolves, and he was really diplomatic about it, obviously, but the constraints under which he was working at that club, financial and otherwise, and the job he continued to do, despite that, I think he was hugely underrated. I think he did an extremely good job there under extremely challenging circumstances. But I am kind of agree. I know he would be very, very keen indeed, Gary O'Neill,
100%,
has been in the past on getting the West Ham job, right? So I think a lot of that chat comes from his camp. A lot of the Gary O'Neill chat comes from his camp rather than necessarily that he would be a club preference. But I agree with you, though. I think we need to be looking bigger than that.
Yeah, that's why I'm going. No, for me, it's if you just look at the job he did at Forest, is all the evidence you need in terms of what he is capable of as a Premier League manager. It didn't work for him at Spurs. Fine. He did a good job at Wolves. An unbelievable job at Forest. Let's get that agreement sorted. Let's get him in. I think the squad is set up nicely for him in terms of.
I'm not sure.
Like we've got a group still.
When Souček's back,
Souček's back, yeah. But there's he loves wingers. We've got one of the best wingers in the Premier League, and
two.
We've got two. Two of you include Somerville, who said, "You ain't seen nothing yet, boys. I'm ready for it." Yeah. So, we're set up. He could turn Callum Wilson or Fulkrug into the next Chris Wood. We don't know.
right?
He was one of the main reasons why Kilman became so good at Wolves and ended up becoming a £40 million player. Whether he's worth that or not, it's different. So, but the guy, he's going to walk into a club with a squad that kind of works for him. It's a no-brainer for me. And I never thought I'd ever be saying this. I want West Ham. I want my team to be managed by Nuno Espirito Santo. But I'm here now, and I'm like, he's free. He's available. I'm so impressed with what he did at Forest. It annoys me how well he did at Forest because everyone knows I don't like him. But he did it, and it's like, yeah, come on, bring him in. And he used to be a goalkeeper, so he can fix Hermanson straight away.
What, by getting rid of him?
Right, either get rid of him or just coach him for a couple of days. Just go, mate, you've got to be better than that.
Yeah, what you do at corners, you can punch it, come out and punch it away,
or catch it.
Yeah, or catch it if you want. Either one.
See those things at the end of your arms, like you're allowed to use those. They're called
hands. Yeah, you're the only one on the pitch who can.
Yeah, you can use those. Oh, thanks, Nuno.
And if
thanks,
the ball's
Gaffer.
Hurtling at the goal, put one of them in the way, and that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, now let me ask you this then, because everyone knows how I'll feel on or what my answer to this question will be. It is undeniable that Nuno Espirito Santo plays a very similar brand of football to David Moyes. That's why Tottenham fans didn't have him and wanted rid of him. That's also on the flip side of that, why I believe Forest have done so well. They've done so well by playing that sort of brand of football. They basically emulated what we did under David Moyes. David Moyes came in, that brand of football bore fruit. Now, where do you feel with this? I don't talk about David Moyes again. I mean, Nuno. What are your thoughts on that? Because all of the fans, or not all, I never say that, not all at all. A large portion of the fans, a very loud portion, wanted rid of David Moyes because of the style of football. Nuno isn't that much different. There might be some minor differences, but ultimately they're similar. They're similar style of managers. What do you think and make of that? And if he was to come in, because I am in total agreement with you, I think go out and get him. I would be delighted to have him. And I think it would be a real statement of intent by the club. And you have someone come in and start making us do the unglamorous but vitally important things in football again. And we wouldn't be a joke anymore. We'd be able to defend at set pieces properly. We'd defend generally properly. And yeah, exciting wingers, counter-attacking football, whatever. Bring it on. West Ham winning some more games. I'm all for it. Although, that's how I feel. Do you feel it's just resetting the cycle again and it's just going back to exactly what we had prior to David Moyes coming in, and you bring someone in like that, we confirm our Premier League status for this season, and then, we back him again in the summer and he buys Nuno-style players, and then we spend a period of time doing that. Hopefully we're back in Europe again. He does to us what Moyes did and what he did at Forest, and then happy days.
He also did it at Wolves. He finished 7th twice with Wolves.
Yeah. So. Which again, exactly, phenomenal achievement. And then does it then go badly and fans are on him going, we don't want to play this style of football. We're West Ham. We shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then you lurch again to a Pellegrini, Lopetegui, a Graham Potter style manager because David Sullivan listens to those fans too much. And then we lurch to try and doing that again and do it badly. And then the cycle resets. If it is that, then I'm I'd be more than happy to just at least be at the bit of the cycle that I like when West Ham win some games, even if we're a bit less on the ball. What are your thoughts and feelings on that side of things?
Yeah, for me, I don't mind that. If it's getting results, that's fine. The problem I had at the end of David Moyes' time is it stopped getting results, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm
So
saying
I was one of the fans that was like, I want him to go because he's no longer working, not because I don't like the style of football. So for me, I'm like, yeah, bring him in. We know that it works. We know. I think I mentioned it last week. I think we found out since David Moyes left the football club that we're not a football club that can be that club.
We're not set up to do it. I agree.
The infrastructure's not there.
Yep.
Like we want to have that identity, but we can't.
Yeah. And it's about so much more than just the manager, isn't it? You're spot on.
Yes. Like there's so much more that needs to happen at the football club before we can even get close to being that team.
Yeah.
So
to play that sort of football successfully requires a whole club setup, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like the infrastructure.
We haven't got that.
We haven't got it. Yeah. So we need to recognise that and come to terms with that and make peace with that and just go, we would love to be that football club, but we're not. Let's just go and get a manager that plays to our strengths as a football club in terms of the identity that we currently have. And the squad that we currently have, and make it work. Like I've said, he's proven it at Forest. He got Forest into Europe. He got Wolves into Europe 2 years running. Yes, it didn't work at Tottenham, but Tottenham is a different football club. Tottenham is set up from an infrastructure point of view to play a better brand of football than he plays. That's why it didn't work. Yeah. So we are the perfect football club for Santo. That's the way I see it at the moment. I'm looking at it going, yes, fans are going to be a little bit annoyed about the style of football, but no one was moaning about the style of football when we were winning the European trophy and when we were finishing 6th in the Premier League and 7th in the Premier League and getting to the semi-finals of the Europa League. Like, no one was complaining then. They only started complaining when it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So if we get 3 or 4 years under Nuno Espirito Santo, where it's fantastic, we're in Europe, going deep into European competition, fine. No one's moaning about the style of play. No one's moaning about the stadium. No one's moaning about David Sullivan. We're happy. Everyone's enjoying life. Let's give it a go. Let's get back to that. Yeah. Brilliant. One thing though, right? What I will say, when you said there, and I agree with everything you said there, let's accept that that's where we're at a football club, as a football club, right? Part of that acceptance, though, surely has to be an acceptance that not every manager delivers elite level results all the time. For West Ham, that was the league positions we had under David Moyes and the winning the Conference League and the quarterfinal and semi-final of Europa League as well, right? Like there has to be an acceptance surely among the fan base as well, or part of that acceptance that you are calling for there, which I wholeheartedly agree with. And I'm aiming this as much towards you, to be fair, as everyone else, is that surely there has to be an acceptance of that. If you embrace that, as you're suggesting, and I agree with, that, look, that's the club we are, that's the route we need to go down. Surely there needs to be a bit of an acceptance as well that, by the way, when we have rough periods, which we will, it's going to look really bad because that's what happens with this style of football. When it's not going well, it looks bad, but you kind of have to accept that there will be naffer periods in it as well. Because let's have it right, your favourite phrase, I didn't enjoy any Lopetegui or Graham Potter football any more than the last 6 months under David Moyes. Do you know what I mean? I didn't enjoy because we were trying to do something different. Yeah. So do you think that there needs to be a bit of an acceptance of that as well? I do, but I think what we got sucked into at the end of David Moyes' time at the club is that we got sucked into so desperately wanting something so different to what we were getting towards the end of David Moyes' time that we almost
declare that we, James, used there does not include me.
Fine. But large portions of the fan base were like, no, we want the complete opposite. But we're actually now we're finding out 2 years down the line
As a club, we can't.
Mate, it's not just that we can't. It's that, okay, fine. Nuno Espirito Santo, he rocks up. We have a couple of good seasons under him. But not for 1 minute am I thinking he's going to go and do David Moyes and lead us to where he took us. But I think he would provide far more success than the previous two managers have done.
Yeah.
But then, if it starts going wrong with him, what we can't do, depending on what the situation is with the ownership and what's going on, how long it takes, etc. What we can't do is go, well, it's not working. Let's go back to try and play more attractive football. Let's get a possession-based manager in. Like, we have to go, right, it's gone stale under Santo. Who else is out there that can play a similar style of football that can just revive a little bit of life into this? Maybe give us something a little bit different, not too much different, something a little bit different, maybe a slightly different approach, but not the complete opposite of the spectrum. That's what we should be looking at.
I want it to be the complete opposite of what we're doing now.
Well, that's probably I think that's where we're heading now, mate. But I think that's what we should be looking at. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Until the football club changes ownership or everything that we've spoken about earlier on in the podcast.
Yeah.
The reality is that we are not going to be that football club. So let's just stick to our guns and just do what we know works. We know works. We know what works, don't we?
Yeah.
If it gets results, I'm happy. The moment it stops getting results, then I'm going to be like, maybe.
No, but you can't do it the moment it stops.
No, not the moment. No.
Yeah,
that's the wrong. That was the wrong thing to say. If it stops getting results,
about 6 months of grace. Remember,
if it stops getting results for a prolonged period of time, i.e., the back end of David Moyes' reign, then I'm like, no, it's gone a little bit stale here. We need to make a change.
Right. If Nuno Espirito Santo gets our highest ever points total in the first 19 games of a season, and then it falls off a cliff, and you start slagging him off, I'm never speaking to you again, and we're not doing the podcast anymore.
But why though? Because that just backs up exactly what I've just said, right?
No, it doesn't. No, that's what I'm saying.
No, if he does that in his first season, then obviously not. Obviously not. But if he does that in his third season, right, or his fourth season, and the way we fall off prevents us from achieving what he's already achieved in the previous 2 or 3 seasons, and we start getting battered by Crystal Palace, embarrassingly, then it's
one game, right? Yeah.
We should,
by the way, we just got battered by Crystal Palace.
They'll get battered 5-2 by Palace, 5-0 by Fulham. Then I'm like, we should probably look at this.
What if that happens after David Sullivan's offered him a new contract and then withdrawn it 4 games later because you had a couple of dodgy results?
Well, then you start asking questions about David Sullivan again.
Therefore, so then the cycle repeats. Here we go again. Right, that's enough, James. 1 hour, 17 minutes is absolutely ridiculous amount of time to talk to each other about an absolutely chaotic, ridiculous football club that we are so aligned to. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. You're flipping better, Av, because it's 8:45 on a Monday night. James is in Spain, and we're both starving.
It's 9:45 where I am. I still haven't eaten.
9:45 where James is. So you better appreciate it. If you do, why don't you go and sign up? Patreon.com/WeAreWestHam podcast. Less than £4 a month. You can get all of this an hour earlier than everyone else, and you get it without adverts. Me and James have to come and relive all of this horror once a week just for your benefit, all of you lot at home. So if you're appreciative of that, get your wallets out. Sign up at patreon.com/WeAreWestHam podcast. Of course, if you can't do that or you don't fancy it, then do follow us on social media at @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search We Are West Ham Podcast. That's all you have to do. It's very simple indeed. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed it. Watch this space for Graham Potter out, Nuno Espirito Santo in. I would personally very much like it indeed if by the podcast next week after the Everton game, where of course we're going to get absolutely twonked by David Moyes' high-flying toffees, I know all of you listening will be going, oh, that's probably what you want because you're such a David Moyes fan. Well, believe it or not, no, I'm a West Ham United fan. I'm just desperate for West Ham United to be good again. So, yeah, I would be very pleased indeed if Nuno Espirito Santo was our manager by this time next Monday. Watch this space and remember that you heard it here first. If that does happen. If not, don't remind me of it. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Go and sign up or subscribe or follow us on socials. I've been Will Pugh. He's been James Jones. West Ham, I think, are still massive. Like the evidence would suggest otherwise, but I'm still sticking to my guns. West Ham are massive. Up the Hammers. And we'll speak to you for an Opposition View podcast ahead of the Everton game later this week.